Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Doud here, back from a long weekend, which, let's face it, probably wasn't long enough. It was also a very cold weekend, so cold it killed not one, but two car batteries, so that's a big bag full of fun. But before I go deal with that, I need to take care of my friends, so let's jump right in. It is January 21st, 2020, and this is your Digit Daily. Last month, Qualcomm had dozens of journalists join it in Hawaii in order to unveil its new line of flagship processors toting 5G along for the ride. Over the weekend, it launched a brand new line of 4G modems with as little fanfare as possible, because 4G doesn't have the sexy. But as Tristan points out, most of us will be using 4G phones and 4G networks in 2020, so let's just keep it real, yeah? Qualcomm added three new processors to its portfolio, the Snapdragon 720G, the 662, and the 460, and fun fact, 662 was my pager code when I was in high school. I'm not going to go into detail as to what a pager was, nor why it required a code, except to say, I'm old, and we'll leave it at that. All these chips boast performance upgrades over their predecessors because, well, they have to. Can you just imagine an executive in the tech space going out on stage to unveil a new product and say, it's 5% slower than last year's thing? Yeah, that would never happen. Or at least if it did, it would go unannounced until the nerds got a hold of it and said, hey, wait a second. Qualcomm suggests that those performance boosts will be much bigger on the lower end, and all of the new chips will offer Bluetooth 5.1 and Wi-Fi 6 connectivity, which is awesome. Plus, in India, these chips support India's own GPS navigation system, which is a nice boost for that country. Speaking of India, that's actually where these chips were announced, so if you're wondering what Qualcomm's target market is, wonder no more. The Snapdragon 720G is pretty much the 730G without as much overclocking. The Snapdragon 662 will be Snapdragon's mainstay in the mid-range phone department, boasting an improved GPU and image processing over its predecessor and supporting more complicated camera setups on lower-end devices because manufacturers know they can sell crappy phones as long as they have at least 4 cameras in them. And the Snapdragon 460 boasts a 70% performance improvement over the 450. It's using A73 cores, which should offer solid performance even at the low end. But here's the thing. Xiaomi announced it would be one of the first to ship a phone with the 720G, which is nice and all, but phones with Snapdragons 460 and 662 won't start shipping until the final quarter of 2020, which is, well, it's kind of a long time away, so that'll be fun, you know, when we know who the next World Series winner is. In the meantime, I guess we'll just have to wait. But you know what we won't have to wait for? The Roundup! The first story in our Roundup was a contender to be our top story of the day, but we didn't want to scare the crap out of you on a shortened week, so here we are. The New York Times wrote up a piece about a tiny little startup that you've never heard about. It's called Clearview AI, and it's built up a database of just about everyone who has ever been online for a little facial recognition database it's building. What? Yeah, every Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit. Do they have profile pics on Reddit? I don't know. Whatever. If it's been online, this company has it, and law enforcement agencies are using it now. Clearview AI was founded by failed app developer Mr. Tone That, former Rudy Giuliani aide Richard Schwartz, and financially backed by Peter Thiel. It's basically a who's who of tech douchebaggery. This database has scraped publicly available photos from all of the above-mentioned sites, most of which are against their terms of service, and matches up those photos with Facebook profiles for law enforcement. Eventually, Clearview thinks that their services will be available to the general public, and what could possibly go wrong with that? Google is planning to roll out wake word sensitivity for its devices, which would allow you to adjust how well your smart speaker hears your OKG wake-up word, which is nice, but if it could possibly redirect those resources towards actually making sure the correct speaker answers you in the first place, that would be better. Regardless, this is good news if you find yourself constantly saying, OKG, OKG! Or you can turn down the sensitivity if you accidentally trigger it too often, which is nobody's problem ever. Hey Europeans, great news! Soon you'll be able to let it go just like Americans, as Disney Plus is set to launch a week earlier than anticipated on March 24th for €5.99 per month. It's still a long way away, which means you're losing a lot of Baby Yoda obsession time. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, the Disney Plus Twitter account didn't launch a 629-tweet thread of title cards for movies and shows coming to your version of the service, but it's still exciting. Probably. Heck, I'm just looking forward to Star Trek Picard launching on Thursday, and by the way, nobody call me on Thursday. British scientists were studying blood samples to find new immune cells to fight bacteria when, whoopsie, they accidentally discovered a new type of T cell that can latch onto and kill most cancer cells while leaving healthy human tissue alone. I'm sorry, what? Of course, this is very early going, but this could turn into a major revolution in fighting some types of cancer. And by some types, I mean lung, skin, blood, colon, breast, bone, prostate, ovarian, kidney, and cervical cancer. So yeah, some. Go British scientists! But just a little advice from now on, when you tell that story, leave out the accidental part or you'll never impress the girls. A new virus has sprung up in China called a coronavirus, meaning it may stem from the same family as SARS. There have been around 200 reported cases and 3 deaths so far, which as far as outbreaks go isn't too bad. But this is 2020, and going back to the 1700s, every century's 20th year has seen a massive worldwide epidemic, and suddenly I'm very glad I work from home. But seriously, those were worldwide epidemics, and they didn't even have planes back then. If this comes to fruition, we are so screwed. So maybe start investing in medical masks, folks, at least until December. And finally, SpaceX cleared another hurdle towards carrying real live NASA astronauts to space by successfully aborting the launch of a crew vessel. At around 40 kilometers in the air, the empty crew vessel detached from the Falcon 9 rocket and drifted gently down into the ocean. The test was designed to make sure, in the event of a launch failure, astronauts would be able to return home safely. So yeah, it was kind of an important test. SpaceX hopes to carry astronauts to the ISS as early as mid-2020, or even sooner if we have to launch the last of humanity to space to wait out the death plague on the ground. That's right, SpaceX might save the human race. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.